This tutorial will introduce you to the Rhino template you'll be using for assignment 1. You all should be familiar with using Rhino and Rhino templates as you used them last semester. So once I'm finished introducing this template you'll be using and where to find it, Megan will talk you through the drawing process and introduce you to some useful tips and commands. This file contains the layouts you will use to export your work to PDFs and a strong foundation for the layers you will use for assignment 1. To find this file, you will go to Box. It will be in the Studio folder under Assignment 1, Rhino Templates. You'll want to save it into an appropriate place within a folder you've created for this class, for this assignment, and for your Rhino files. It's always super important to get organized on the front end. It'll save you time on the back end. So once you have saved and your file and opened it up, it'll look like this. You'll see that this file has all the 5 squares you will be using for assignment 1. And they are already created, labeled, and scaled to 1/2 mile by 1/2 mile. All you need to do is to place your tile into the aerial base drawing, and Megan will go through the commands, tips, and instructions for drawing each of the squares. The first thing you're going to want to do is to fill out the information for your drawing. So you'll go ahead and put your city. Let's say I'm doing Barcelona. Make sure you're using Arial font and that you have all caps on. So we got Barcelona. Let's say I'm doing tile number 4. And go ahead and put our names in. So I'll go ahead and put my name, Julia Turner. And then I'll go ahead and put my partner's name in. And for the sake of fun, let's say Megan is my partner. And so this information is entered and will appear in all of your printouts. So make sure you do this. It's super fast and easy, and it looks super unprofessional if you forget to, and we're looking at a template or assignment that says your name. So you have the 5 drawings and the 5 boxes, and each of them have a parent layer. Oops, I meant to close these out real quick. So you'll see there's 5 parent layers that correspond to the 5 drawings. So the first one is the aerial and base drawing. You can use the aerial layer to place it. So you'll select on that and put it in. And then once you do, you can turn it on and off in all of your drawings. For the base drawing, it's where you will be recording all of the information from the aerial image. So you'll use this layer to outline your buildings, this one for your roads, this for your surface details. And for surface details, we mean things like lines on a parking lot or a crosswalk, those sorts of things. Here's a layer for sidewalks, trees, water, and objects. Objects would be things like fountains or sculpture that don't fall into the other categories. And again, these are suggestions. You will probably have to add to or not use some of them. For example, if your city or tile has a beach area, you might want to include sand as part of the area you're delineating. So once you have all of those, you will copy them over using block, and Megan will show you how to do that. So let's go ahead and look at the other drawings layers. And again, you'll be repeating the information you already drew for the base drawing and updating it and using it for the other drawings. So for the figure ground, you will just use the figure hatch, which will be a black patch, to create this drawing using primarily the building outlines. For network, you'll use the roads and sidewalks and perhaps the water if you have a port city to create the networks and diagram the networks. The only thing that you're adding is an underground, and underground would talk about underground pedestrian walkways or underground transit, subways, trains, etc. Open space, you have public for areas that are open to the public, such as plazas, parks, sidewalks, water for body of water, trees for trees, and private for buildings or objects that are not open to the public. And for program, it starts with 9 categories you will use to research and to look at how to diagram and show the use of space and buildings in your drawing. So those are the 5 parent layers with their corresponding layers. Next, we're going to look at the layouts that go with this assignment. So to do that, I'll click on Layout tab, which is up here, or I can also click on this icon in the Layer tab. If you're using PC, your layouts will appear at the bottom right here. So once you open up the layouts, you'll see that there are 5 layouts beginning with P. P stands for print or paper space. And then there's 5 more, and we'll talk about those next class. For right now, just ignore them. So here are our layouts that start with Arial. You'll notice it has a title, and the information you filled out when you first open the file will be automatically applied to each of them. And then there's a label for each. So in Arial, we'll see that this is applied. Hold on, let me turn back on my Arial image. Okay. And then figure ground, you'll see that we start to get a key for figure and other. Same with all the other ones, such as program. You'll see the key for your drawing. All of this is created. It's on its own layer for guides, and it's locked. I suggest you don't mess with it. You'll notice also that if you click, the proportions are locked. Don't mess with them. Everything's pretty well set up for you. So to go back to our viewports, let's go to network, for example. So once you're in this, one of the things that we didn't really use last semester is that you can change layout and layer information for each layout. Layout, that's a lot of the same word. So if you double click on the viewport, the draw space, you will make it active, and if you open up the layer and detail layer information right up here, you will see that you can turn on and off layers. For example, I can turn off the base drawing here, and so you won't see that. So if I'm doing network, I will not need to include buildings. I will want roads and surface details and sidewalks. I don't need trees. I might need water. Again, if you're using a port city or a city that uses canals, you'll probably want to include the water. This is a discussion with your group. You probably won't need objects. So I can pick and choose which I want to turn on. I won't want the aerial image. And so once I set this up, it will always be set up. So every time I want to print it, those layers only will show. And then you can go back to your draw space and top, and you'll see that network, it still looks the same in your drawing space, but when you go back to your layout, it'll be saved there. So that's a very cool thing to use. We can do it again in open space, perhaps, to say, if you try to say once you activate the viewport, and again, if you don't activate the viewport, you won't be able to change it. So we're doing open space, and say I already created the hatches. I don't want the aerial image, and I don't want these. I just want the hatches I used, and it's all set. So if you notice, if I try to change some of these without the viewport active, it's not going to change that. So let's go to open space. Say I turn off the private fill. It's only going to affect what's on the drawing space. So if I want to affect this one, I would make sure the viewport's active and turn it on and off. Hopefully that's clear. So we've set that up. And so you'll go through once your drawings are done and select what you want to show and what you don't. So again, looking at program, we'll go to our layout and layout settings. And real quick, I forgot to show. If you're on a PC, the layout on and off layer is here. So once you have opened up a layer or a layout, say you're looking at the arrow one, you can turn it on and off in the layout on. So this is just taking the scroll bar and moving it to the right until you see layout on and off. And that'll do the same thing I've been showing in this panel. And again, we'll have a question and answer right after this to help sort through anything that wasn't cleared up. So looking at program, in this detail, let's say we don't need the base drawing, we would just want this. Okay, so hopefully that has enough information to get you started. And I'll answer some questions in the Zoom chat, and then Megan will take over. Thank you all.